Cool. So let's start. Thanks for joining. Nice meeting you. My name is Matteo. I speak loud because I'm Italian. I already said that, but it's worth mentioning it again. I'm heading product management media production at Dalet. Well, I think the title is quite self-explanatory. I'm gonna talk about AI today. Everybody's talking about that, so why can't I? So let's see how this goes. So I hope you see the slide. So, of course, as I said, everyone is talking about AI. I generated this image with AI, of course. Why don't put AI in that? It's a big crowd. Everyone is talking about that. So, but why? The question is why. What we're trying to explain is that, I mean, it's taking a lot of traction. There's a big hype about AI these days. And many believe that this is because we're in front of one of the greatest opportunities in terms of value creation that we have ever had. Of course, after pasta and Italian pasta, but that's another story. We already exploited that value. So, but of course, I'm going to do some Italian jokes during the presentations. Hope you like them. But what about our industry? So it's like everyone is talking about that, but why they're doing that? It's not just because they want to talk about AI. It's like they have several good reasons. Projections in terms of revenue, we were around $100 billion in 2022. Projections are spiking to 400 billion by 2027. So revenue is going to come for that. There's a big market, a lot of players around. 37% AGR, aggregated revenue expected for AI in the coming years. And we don't see that, but already 77% of worldwide people are using AI. Some of them already know that, some don't. But this is just a fact. It's what is going on. And whether we want this to happen or not, it's already happening. So the question is more, how do we make use of that in media and entertainment? So DPP has already given us a lot of insights. I see the slide is not very well displayed, but anyway, to fully understand where do we stand in terms of AI in the media and entertainment industry, we must understand that there are different kinds of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a big bucket. There's a lot of stuff inside, but where do we stand from that point of view? We see some are more mature, some are less mature, others are already well adopted. It really depends on where do you stand in the supply chain to understand where there's potential. Well, AI is already ready to exploit that potential and where it is not. So let's start with the basics, like from really the basis of this story is like there are technologies that have been there for years. For example, audio recognition, video recognition, speech to text, all of these. I mean, we're recently seeing them really applied in our workflows, in our day-to-day lives. But as a matter of fact, they've been there and they've been studied for the past 10, 15 years. They just become really mature. And we see that almost 70% of media and industry companies are already exploiting those features. So that's today and is actually working. But to some extent, they're not fully exploited yet. And the chief of data and AI at ITV gave a good explanation, at least this is what we believe at Dalet. So he said, AI by itself and those services, they're solving vertical issues and vertical challenges. Transcribing something is just a transcription. What do you make out of this transcription? It is what makes businesses successful. So solving the horizontal problem is what we're looking at today in Dalet. So how do you make use of those tools to make sure that your workflow makes the most out of them in a secure way, in a secure manner, and it's actually helping people work better? So he also gave a very good example about this. Just let's take, for example, an editor that has to pick up medias and just transcribe them. Let's say a video, have a transcription, or has to extract information from a text, or whatever other kind of, or recommendations as well, or keywords. Today, you have to take this media. Maybe it could be in your media asset management system. You could have to bring it out to one of these tools, let it do its job, and then bring it back into your usual workflows just to exploit whatever AI has given you. And that's not productivity. I mean, we all agree that's not really productivity. And this is the kind of example that are given by customers and leads at our and companies that work with us, and that we have taken to understand where we want to go with AI in the future. So let's check how we put that into practice. So we have here 3 good examples of a use case that we have taken to make AI integrated within our products and work in the standard workflows of our customers. For example, here, let's imagine we have a newsroom that is producing content in multiple languages. They want to produce in France, so they want to produce in French, in Spanish, because they're doing operations in Spain, and in Italy, of course, because I'm Italian. They would start from a master package. So they would have to edit something. So they would collect information and then start editing the final video that they would like to air. So today we have a combination of product that is helping our customers do that. From the editing online web editor to graphics integrated to automatic caption generation and review directly in the same interface. All of this from the same place. You don't have to go somewhere else, extract the captions, bring them in. You're producing your EDL, you're producing your master package, and it's there. But that's just the very, very beginning of automation. So if we look at the next step, as I said, this newsroom may want to produce in different countries, you would have to repurpose that content. And this is where we really brought value. Like repurposing such content would mean that you would have to recreate such EDL. So you would need to create a copy. You would need to translate everything into another language. You would need to translate the captions, of course. You would need to translate the graphics. You would need to adapt all of this to that country just to make sure that you're targeting your customers in the proper way. Well, this few years ago would have taken hours, if not more. Today, you can do that inside our Dalet Pyramid tool in just one click. So you can go into your NRCS. You have your master package produced. You select the languages that you want to use. French, English. English is already the master normally, but whatever. Italian. The journalist can select the languages, click a button, run a workflow, and we're automatically repackaging everything. And it's ready to use. You have the EDL. You can go back into your editor, adapt it if needed. So if you want to take some editorial choices, make sure that the translation is fitting a little bit better this market, because AI, yeah, it's useful, but it's not perfect yet. Well, you could do it. And it's all integrated, and it's much, much easier like that. And this is in production. You can see that. This is a very good example. You have Euronews. It's producing in different countries. They are producing almost the same content. And you can see that from on the left, you exactly have translation applied. Translation looks pretty fair the same. On the right, they have taken editorial choices. Most probably they have run this copy, but they decided to change a little bit the wording because, yes, AI, it's not just translating to fit, is at the moment just translating by itself. And this is another big point and challenge that AI is going to pose us in the future years, is the fact that it's pretty generic. And again, it's the vertical. And if you want to adapt it, you need to adapt it to your business. And this may require training and adaptation. So we still need to give people the ability to adjust what AI is returning back. Another very good example of application of artificial intelligence is in our tools. It's dynamic dictionaries when you're transcripting. As I said, transcriptions are used everywhere right now. They are automated, but they lack by themselves context. We at Dalet, as a media asset management, we have that context. And we are making use of that context to make sure that this transcription is actually better put into context. And this is improving accuracy. And you can apply that to any other kind of business. I'm just putting football match here, soccer, sorry, a soccer match here. But it could be anything else. It could be not just the team squads, could be rugby, whatever, and completely different application. But context is key. And when you have media and you have context, you can actually apply that context. And this is where we are bringing value. And then this came. I mean, it's that stuff. It's the past, and and this is coming so fast that we can't control it. It's like, but it's crazy how this is arriving to us, generating text, generating images, generating videos. All of this is there, and it came in just 1 year. And I don't know if anyone expect that so fast to happen, but it happened. And the question now for us is, how do we make the most out of this? Because it's actually posing a lot of challenges and a lot of questions to all of us, just not from a business perspective, but as a society altogether. So we started working around applications of generative AI, of course. That's what we're exploring today. We believe in generative AI with all the challenges that it has, and we already see a lot of applications. You can see them there. Just visit us at our booth if you want to have more explanation on how this goes, but they're helping people actually boost their productivity. Generating images from text, it's going to help productions produce faster, less problems with content that is not owned. Newsrooms, they could make use of text generation in plenty of use cases. You can see here, we can repurpose content from linear to digital in the blink of an eye. You just take your script, run a workflow with generative AI, and you have headlines and text on screen and toss, and this goes into your graphics, and your repurposing of your content has taken much less, and you can really focus on where you are generating value in your business. Make sure that the workflow is actually working on the creative process and just reducing time that you're spending on recurring tasks that are really sucking up working time. So all of this is great. The fantasy could be the limit here. We could do whatever we want with that. There are plenty of applications where these are just examples of something that we have explored. You can imagine there are plenty of other things that we can do with that. But there are some problems. We said that, I'm going to make a joke. I wanted to put Biden here. They told me in the US it's better not to talk about Biden, so I didn't. I put an actor, but I made the joke anyway. Sorry. Deepfakes are a real concern. Like generative AI is posing threats to us, and it's something that we all together need to solve. Is a problem that we all need to address. It's not just deepfakes, it's about generative AI on text. ChatGPT is not perfect. It was actually giving hallucinations, false answers to questions that were pretty simple. Apparently, there were images taken by space in the space that were never actually taken. So these are all questions that we are asking ourselves. And despite looking at how we want to implement generative AI in our tools, we have to ask those questions. And we are asking those questions, at least at Dalet. One of the questions that we're asking ourselves, and I'm going to explain this later, is how do you manage the whole media production chain while making sure that you're keeping trust for your consumers? And this goes with C2PA. You may have heard of it, but I'm going to talk about it later. So this is really just to say that it's not just about taking AI and putting it into your tools and starting using it. You could do that, of course, but there are risks. You would need to adapt your workforce to start working with that because it's causing change management questions. You would need to answer a lot of things. So Gen AI just arrived. I understand the hype. It's super cool, but there's still a lot to do. So we're really just at the surface of what could be done and how we want to do it. So as I said, just I mean, I really like that Spider-Man quote. I don't know if you do, but I think we should actually apply it for technology a little bit more widely. But in this case, it's even more real. Like with pasta, we did not have that responsibility. It's just good by itself. But here we have a responsibility as technical providers and towards society in general. So we are working on making sure that all these points are actually addressed in our roadmaps, in our product, to make sure that we really make the best out of it. Because anyway, even if we weren't applying generative AI in our processes, it would be there, and it makes no sense just disregarding it because it has issues. We need to work to solve those issues. And this is why we actually joined C2PA. This is one of the aspects, of the many aspects, of making sure that generative AI is actually controlled in the right way. So probably you know what C2PA is doing. If you don't, I'm going to just explain it very briefly. C2PA is actually making sure that you can track how a media is produced, is created, and actually then produced and changed over time. With provenance metadata applied to it, with digital signature, with content credential display, and this is actually to build trust into the consumer's mindset. So just really make sure that if I'm looking at an image, at a video, I can trust whatever I'm seeing. And actually, I don't know, probably you don't, but when I look around, when I'm browsing the internet today, I'm really taking a step back and saying, okay, what am I reading? What am I seeing? Do I trust whatever I'm reading here? Do I know the source? And well, C2PA is helping to that extent, but it's not perfect. So content credentials from C2PA, they've just arrived. They have an official icon that has been recently released. And let's take this image as an example. Which one would you say it's real? You see the image? Yeah. Right, left? The left? Well, is actually the left. You wouldn't say that. Is actually the left. The right one would look more real. And actually, I don't know if you know this place in Indonesia. It's a temple. I forgot the name right now, but sorry. It's a nice temple. I'm going to visit it next month. C2PA is going to help people understand how those images have been managed and produced, but it's not telling you whether this is true or not. Your perception is still there. So it's a good example of technology applied to AI. Is going to help us increase trust in what we see. And we're going to apply that into our media production workflows for sure. But it's not solving. So trust is still key. You need to build trust. And this is even more valid for news. And what's coming next? Anyway, AI has just started. It's actually exploding clearly in the market. There are plenty of models. So while we think about applying the AI of yesterday and solve the problems of the AI of today, we're also looking a little bit at what's coming later, what would arrive and how we could apply that. And in this sea of engines and models and everything, we already see application and we already see value. So we have looked in the keyhole of this big door of AI of the future, and we see how a newsroom, for example, could take advantage of these by applying agents to fact check, to check whether a content that they're producing would fit to a market completely just by asking questions to that agent. And it doesn't mean that that agent will substitute colleagues, will substitute the newsroom. It will help those people think and just ask themselves questions. And that's the idea behind agents and their application. So just an extract from what I just told you, just some keynotes. Sorry, I wanted to make this slide better. I didn't have time. It's NAB for everyone. So we have a great opportunity in front of us. We're trying to make the most out of it, but we clearly have challenges. So certain things, they're there and they're generating value, and we want to make this value available to everyone. Others are still not that mature. So please, while you look at AI, just think that we all have this responsibility, and let's not just think of it as a business concern. Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the talk. If you need anything from me, I'll be here next the stand for the next few minutes. Otherwise, you can join me at the Dalet booth. Thank you.